Hey everyone, it's Bennett Forrest, your fantasy football commissioner, with the ForrestLand MishMash 2014 Week 4 update, or weekly recap, as we like to say here. As you can see from the scores, there were no really close games, although it's some interesting symmetry here with the two second highest scorers getting 185 and defeating the other team by almost identical scores there. So other than that odd bit of symmetry, nothing too exciting happened this weekend in terms of close games. Really, the blowout performer of Monday night was Jamal Charles, but for the Chicago Travelers, but they were way too behind the Slim Aussies to catch up, so didn't really help the Travelers much there. So let's just do the recap in order of points scored. We'll start with the high score of the week, the Catonsville Cartel versus Graceland, winning 195-113. Bench Stud of the Week award goes to the winning team with Eli Manning with 37 points on the bench. For Gallo's team, the Cartel moved to 2-2, even in spite of having 37 points on the bench. So with Kirk Cousins only getting 6, the extra 31 points obviously would have put the Cartel well over the 200-point mark, but didn't need it anyway because they got 195 points total, including a real good, nice double shot of San Diego Charger receivers Keenan Allen and Eddie Royal with 24 and 28 points respectively, and just an all-around solid performance as you can see, and of course that adds up to close to 200 points. Not so much for Graceland, who's living and dying by the Nick Foles, LaShawn McCoy combo. Who would have thought that Sean McCoy would have less points than Trent Richardson? Trent Richardson's actually been respectable this year. Hasn't gotten 100 yards, but has been decent. Did get a touchdown the other day. So, getting some points here, and compared to LaShawn McCoy, who I believe was the overall number 2 pick in the draft, say. And you can see from his lines, not much better. 1 touchdown, hasn't broken 100 yards either. So, that's obviously not going to get it done with running backs doing that. In addition to Nick Foles not having a good day, all the Eagles' points were on special teams or defense. So, only 113 points for Graceland. She falls to 1-3, and the Cartel moved to 2-2. Second leading, we'll go in order of standings. We'll say because there was a tie at 185 for the second most points. We'll go to the Stallions, handing Chiomes their first loss. They go to 2-1-1. Very impressive day for the Stallions, quarterback-wise. Breeze and Rivers, those are going to be great numbers all year. Even though the Saints lost, Breeze is still going to put up good numbers. And then Jordy Nelson has just been amazing. Look at his stats here. I think he's gotten He's had a 200 game, a 100 game, 3 touchdowns, and then even in the other 2 games had 9 and 5 catches respectively. So he's been great for the Stallions. Stallions are, I believe, leading the entire league in points scored this year. We'll check on that when we look at the standings. But the Stallions have been scoring points all year, so that continued the other day with a 185-point outburst. Nothing. Especially look at all these guys on the bye. That's pretty impressive when you can do that. When you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on a bye and still score the second most point in the league. That's nice. Chiomes, not bad. 150 points. 22 points from Tannehill over Cam Newton, which is pretty good. Tannehill wasn't even 100% to start, and he put up a pretty good game against the Raiders over in London, and then Cam Newton's just not having a good year. Looking at his fantasy points, I don't think he's gotten more than 20 points all year. Yeah, he's scored in the teens in all 3 games, so Cam Newton's not necessarily getting it done either. But yet, as you can see, 153 points is not bad. Chiomes also had a bunch of people on a bye, so we'll see moving forward. Does hurt a little bit to have the Eagles defense on the bench for 26 points, but doing quick math in my head, I don't think that would have made a difference. So the Stallions are easily the highest scoring team in the league, which again, I'll double check on that in a minute, but I'm pretty sure. Now to the Slim Aussies getting their first win of the year. This was obviously a nice win for the Aussies. Don't want to go 0-4. Sort of a much needed outburst. obviously that all started off on a good foot with Larry Donnell getting 30 points on the Thursday night game. Him along with Matt Asiata are probably the two biggest free agent pickups this year. Larry Donnell's been amazing. So I have to say I'm pretty happy with him. And, quarterbacks doing pretty consistent there. And, of course, Steve Smith. That was the obvious start of the year with Steve Smith playing against his old team. I mean, that was just a no-brainer. The only thing for me was picking out who to sit out. And, obviously, sitting Kendall Wright with his 8 points, that was a good idea. So 35 points from Steve Smith was nice. Not sure if he's going to do that every week, but, no-brainer to start him last week. So nice, 185 points. Travelers, not too bad with 152. Just like Chiomes, just playing against someone who blew up is always tough. And again, 31 points from Jamal Charles Monday night, but it was so out of hand already that it really didn't matter. And the other thing, of course, is when one person has a quarterback versus someone else who has the wide receiver on that same team, as you can see, the wide receiver can easily outscore the quarterback, even if the quarterback has touchdowns to other people, because obviously the yards and the scoring. So Steve Smith canceled out Joe Flacco, which was nice, and the Travelers fall to 2-2. So they're still at 500 for the season. Two other games to talk about. We had a 3rd and long going to 2-2, dropping the newcomer Scoot Mayer to 1-3. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers coming back, having his best day of the year is nice. If you look at his stats for the year, he had two really good games. So Aaron Rodgers is pretty much going to be there all year. He is who we think he is, as to paraphrase Denny Green. And of course, DeMarco Murray's got to be the MVP, at least a fantasy. I mean, he's had 400-yard games already, touchdown in each game. So DeMarco Murray's been amazing, pretty steady. And 3rd and long gets 163 points, even with Seahawks defense on the bye, Andy Dalton on a bye, Cecil Shorts the third getting 4 points, and still winning with 163 points. So 3rd and long is up to 2-2, I believe. Yep. And B more BPE falls to 1-3. Matthew Stafford's about the only one that did any scoring. Falcons defense with -3. That's never good. I don't know why anyone's starting the Falcons defense, because they're pretty weak. And then, Calvin Johnson with only 3 points. That's not going to get her done. And Tom Brady, here's the thing that's interesting with fantasy football and just how you never know how it's going to go. When I was drafting and I was going to get a quarterback, my two choices were going to be Matt Ryan and Tom Brady. And I was definitely going to pick Tom Brady first. However, Tom Brady went 2 or 3 spots before me, and I went with my second choice, Matt Ryan. And sure enough, Tom Brady's having the worst year of his career so far. So it just goes to show sometimes luck plays a big part in fantasy football. I would have had no problem taking Tom Brady over Matt Ryan, and I wasn't able to make that decision. Ended up with Matt Ryan, and obviously I'm pretty happy so far. So again, a lot of luck plays into fantasy football, as we all know. Not much going on either bench. Frank Gore had his best day of the year, but 3rd and long did not need it, so she goes to 2-2. And the final game is Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy, the only undefeated team in the league. Again, with a little bit of luck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 teams scored more than Ray Finkel, but he played the lowest scoring team in the league and gets the 136-96 win. Calvinators, I don't know if my cousin is distracted this year or what, because he's got Russell Wilson on a bye, didn't put in another quarterback, and of course you see being a homer for your local team, in this case the Patriots, is not always a good thing. You live and die by your hometown team. So you see Julian Edelman and Kembrell Tompkins and Tim Wright with a combined 6 points total. And then the Patriots defense, just to add insult to injury, -1. So Calvinators, not really sure what else to expect with that lineup. Not much else on the bench either, but you still got to at least get a quarterback in there to try and get some points. And then, of course, Ray Finkel, Kicking Academy, nothing special, but enough to get the win. nice job starting Blake Bortles with Peyton Manning on a bye. It's always nice to, when your best player is on a bye, to get the win. So I'm sure Ray Finkel will take that. Now on to the standings. We have, like I mentioned before, the Somerset Stallions leading the Mish division. And again, if we look at the points, easily the most points, got 70-ish points more than the next team in the one division, and a 30-point lead in points over the other division. So the Stallions, in spite of having the one loss, are clearly scoring the most points in the league. The Cartel and the Travelers at 2-2, and the Slim Aussies, of course, hanging in there with their first win at 1-3. The other league, again, Finkel's Kicking Academy going to 4-0 with a little bit of luck, and the other teams. And if you look at this division, you can see the points are exactly well, I take that back. Chiomes is actually leading in points. They're in second place with Finkel's Academy in second place points, but leading the division, excuse me. So that's it for the recap this week. Just a quick update on the tilt thing. I lowered the tilt to 8 because one league member paid me directly without going through the tilt system, and then someone else paid for 2 people at once. So again, the league will, or the tilt app will charge you once everybody in the league signs up or is accounted for. So I think we have 4 more to go. You know who you are. Please go online and pay your dues. And of course, don't forget to set your lineups with buys and Thursday night games. And good luck to everyone this week. Thank you.